Hello, fellow Patreons. Big up everyone who's joined. Sorry about this camera. I'm trying to get rid of this glare, but it's just generally, it's a sunny day and I'm in my studio, and that's what you get. So, we have a WhatsApp group where people suggest remixes for me to play, or me to remix, songs for me to remix. And this was one of the suggestions. It's Pucho and the Latin Soul Brothers. Let's give it a listen. Someone, Ricardo, I think they're from Spain. I've accepted the challenge. I'm like, perfect Latin vibes. Just really soulful, really nice. I'm really happy with it. So, without doing too much, the thing I noticed about it was there was lots of panning each side. So you've got, if I just go back to it a second, where you can listen to the original. Or actually, no, I'll show you what I did on the sample. So in the breakdown of the track, it is this. As you can see on this, you can see like the left and the right, they're very different. So it's just classic recording techniques from back in the day. And you can also tell that I pitched it up 5 semitones, because I just felt like the energy was a bit slaggy. There was, I think it was Charlie Puth, was asked in an interview, what's he do when he's not feeling inspired, and he said like pitch stuff up. So if we listen to the tune pitched at normal, it makes me think of like hip hop stuff, like lo-fi. The warp setting I used is Pro, and the performance, if it's by default it's there, but if you bring it down there, it has a nicer technique. So then I just played around with the best key. So then just pitched these bad boys up by 5, and then got it to here. And it just feels very common with like garage and stuff like that, where it's just kind of a little bit sped up, kind of, especially with vocals, when you get to those squeaky vocals that are, you know, quite famous in garage stuff. And I wanted it to be drum and bass, but it just was naturally at, what tempo was it falling at? 135. So yeah, and obviously I time stretched it. I moved all the grids in time with the track. So when you get the sample, you just play it and then hit your metronome on. Obviously, I'm using Ableton, by the way. You can do all the same thing in Logic with flex time. So the thing is I've dropped it in on the count 1 and time stretched it. What I used to do was like get it exactly on grid, and sometimes when you do that, you lose a bit of the natural groove of the musicians, of the original sample. So just be mindful of that. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment is very much based on getting the groove right and sliding stuff slightly to the left or slightly to the right. When it's on grid, it's all good, but there's sometimes it just feels a bit robotic. So just be mindful of that, and I'll go into a bit more in detail. So this is the sample, yeah, and then I add some other bits on it as well. So I added, first of all, I split it, and you can use websites like Fader, so I've split them into the stems. I was using Fader for a long time and paying for that, but now the new version of Ableton 12.3, which is very important, you can right click on it and hit separate stems to new audio tracks, and that it is really good. It is, for me. I mean, there's debates whether I think it's another website. I think it might be Order Me that do it, but for me, this is now free. Whereas Fader, I was paying like $9 a month, I think. So it's all there. I highly recommend it. Message me if you want other suggestions, or message the down below with what you guys do. So yeah, you split it into drums, bass, other, and vocals. So this obviously didn't come with any vocals, but I'll go into why and how I found these little Sims vocals, which I really like. So I added, let's take the metronome off for a second. I added some, what's this again? Oh yeah, I just added a little ride. Because the drums were alright, but I think it just need that, so that I don't know, I just felt like it needed that top shine. So the original drums are here. Another thing to mention is when you're warping drums, have the warp setting on beats, because that gets the transients. Whereas if you put it on complex, it's a bit smoother. So I use Complex Pro for my like music elements and beats for my drums. So you got that. Oh, and also I pitched up the whole track by 5, but you can see I've pitched the drums down by 2. Which is quite complicated, but I can explain. So you got the bass, Performance 0 Pro, pitch down to 7. So what I did is I went down an octave effectively. Because if I'd have gone up 5 like the rest of the song, what you can do actually is just press shift and up, and you go up an octave. It lost lots of the weight of the original. So if I get a Fab Filter, it was up here and it's just had no low end. So what I did is I pitched it down an octave, and shift down. So I basically just transposed the song. So you've got that effect basically with the rest of the track. So if just so be wary that if you're making remixes and stuff, and it obviously needs to sound quite good in the clubs, you got to have it like below 200 hertz effectively, or even lower effectively, like under 100. So yeah, did that. That was fun. And then the drums, pitching them. So again, so if you had them even at 0, just the tone of them and where they were hitting, what didn't feel right with the rest of the track. Listen, 0, 0. It just suddenly when you push them down to 2, it's just they just seem to fit better. And yeah, like I said, I just wanted the top shine on them, so I added this ride. And then yeah, just rolled off all the bottoms of that, and then just the very, very top. And then I had a nice little clap. I think that was from Splice somewhere. Because without the clap and the ride, it's this. And also with this top ride, you kind of hide from the slight graininess of the audio file, because you've stretched it and pitched it. So that's the breakdown, and then there's these lovely fills as well that I really liked. So that's the sample. And what I really like doing is chopping up samples and playing with them. I mean, first of all, changing tempo to a sample or changing the speed, the pitch. You're already kind of moving the song in somewhere else, which is what I love about remixes and just taking them somewhere else and making them different and changing the genre. This other technique I use is based on, like I said, Todd Edwards, and taking a sample and chopping it up and making something new from it. So this was the piano. Let me take off the Kickstarter. So what you can do, which is really fun, is you could take in Ableton, and I'm pretty sure you could do this in Logic as well, is you get the sample and then you right click and you hit slice to new MIDI track and you hit the transients. So you've basically chopped that up into points across your keyboard. So you can jam that way. There's a really cool video with Todd Edwards doing that and then just like making little riffs. And that's basically what I did. So you've got, for instance, this sample. But now it's in chops. Also, it's not pitched itself up the 5, but you can do that here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you've got all these, and you can make these adjustments. So that's what I've done here with this. But it sounds a bit minimal because there's other stuff as well, which is the skanks. And these skanks is what I used to do this a lot on my tunes, is just like take one bit and do it as that kind of upbeat that goes with the hi-hat. So together I kind of tried to create this nice groove, like choppy. So if I just solo these two with like a kick drum or just the whole drums. These are the ghost notes. These are the subtleties that you need to give it that groove. If I just go into so basically what I do is I just put lay down some basic drums and then start vibing with these chops. And then the other thing to mention is the groove on the drums. So let's have a listen to them. So the kick I used kick 3 and yeah, so it's in D sharp. The root note's D sharp, so I always set that note here to be D sharp and then lower D sharp, and then if you can get some of these it's D sharp or nearby, so it sits in with the rest of the tune. There's loads of settings you could change in this. It's a really good plugin. There was something that I also discovered which was quite nice in your macros. I'm trying to put my hand over the sun. So on the right you've got these drives as well that are really good to play with to get it, especially with garage music. Your kicks are always quite like, they're kind of hard for me. They're halfway between breakbeat and house, so they're kind of crunchy but also quite smooth in the house sense. So the crunchy like breakbeat, and they just sit quite nicely in between. So if I just show you without the drive, that's fine. But then when you start adding these, I don't know if you can really tell on the speakers. It didn't even turn it up. it sounds quite good. And the other thing to mention was your length. Your length here of your kick's really important, especially with garage. Garage is quite tight, but you also need it to fill that space, fill that. The hell happened there? That was weird. It's had this weird delay. And a great way of discovering and checking that, the distance, is using Megascope. So if we look at this and we just play with our kick length, oh dearie me, yeah, look. See, they are pathetic, but then if you don't want to go too long, that it just becomes some kind of like techno sort of area. And you can go into the maths and look at the milliseconds representing kind of what 18th, 16ths or whatnot. But this I always quite find really interesting, because the length of your kick drum will change the feel of the song. If they're nice and short, it will feel quite quick. But if they're long, they'll have more weight and then we'll have more low end and you'll feel them better. So this is a really nice way of getting the balance right. I'll just play it with the rest of the tune and we can see try and feel the difference. So the short ones make it feel quite skippy, like when it's going longer, it's like bar 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 bar, and it feels a lot slower. So I would highly recommend just playing with that, or obviously you can use the decay and the release on whatever system you're using. I've been analysing quite a lot of garage producers and seeing how they do it, watching lots of tutorials, and basically getting a feel of like all these notes in your drums are very, very short. So that was a kick drum. Let's have a look at these. This was my snare. Love that clappy, garagey sound. Also, go back to groove, triplet groove. This the ballad. The conversation with garage stuff is it's all about the triplets, and if you hit it on 16th and triplet, you see your grid changes. You can also do this in Logic. Just go up to the top and hit it into 12ths, and your grid will change. And as you can see, you can see this grid. This hi-hat is like matched onto the grid to give those hats the shuffle or the swing. So if you look at that and then I turn off triplet, technically it's here now. So it's the swing is basically the distance between that and that. I think if you were to do the other way of not doing triplet groove, it would be a number like 16C I've got. I tried it on 16C, but I wanted more swing. So as you can see on this one, I've got it on 16 triplets, 100%. The timing's off. Ignore the timing on that one. And then this one is 16C. So I tried this one, and then this one was just 16ths. So they actually named differently, but I can see that this one's 16ths, this one's triplets, and this one's 16C swing. If you want me to explain this better, I probably can, but I've spent a long time trying to figure this out and get the groove right. So number one rule as well is try and get everything locked into that groove. So we've got our hi-hats, we've got a clap, kick. What is a really good way of also getting your stuff short? There's two ways of getting your sounds short. One is by changing it to this setting and bringing this down, so you're shortening the release of the transient. So have a listen. It's really, really subtle. Or you can use a transient shaper, which I've also done here. And this one's great because you can change which within the EQ of where you want it. I've just gone for general, but if you do, you can have like, I just want the tops transients brought down. But I've just done it for all.